When I first went to Ghana 50 years ago, the dam had just been built, the lake was filling up. There was a promise of 24-hour electricity for everybody in Ghana. This promise was never kept, and it's still the case that electricity supplies, particularly to remote areas, such as the areas these boats are going to serve, are very intermittent, very patchy and unreliable.
David Murden of the And Albert Foundation was the main inspiration for this boat. He spent a lot of time in West Africa and realised there was a need for some form of transport to go up and down the White Volta River to help people who really couldn't get medical help because the White Volta River blocks people's access to the nearest hospital.
My name's Tony Say. I'm Director of Seahorse Marine. We've been boat builders for over 15 years and I've done nothing else in my career since leaving school but build boats. The reason that we're here today is working with David Murden, who's a long-time friend, and to support his work here with the And Albert Foundation to get boats out to Africa for medical treatment of the people out there.
I went out to Ghana to look at this river where the slaves came down, right? And now here's Dave wanting to develop a commercial activity of 100 villages. Now that's fantastic. And for Rotary here today to have backed the first boat, a medical boat that connects the 70 villages, I think that sounds exciting.
My name is Len Taylor. As far as this project is concerned, I represent the Rotary Foundation, which is our own Rotary charity, and also I've been heading up a team which is our foundation committee, which operates in this area of East Yorkshire and Hull. Now originally David Murden came to speak to us, in fact to appeal to us and to explain that he had a project that he was looking for support, and we decided amongst ourselves that this was a worthy project. He also told us that up until now he'd had lots of support but had basically no money.
One of the primary things that we had to look at was maintenance, because obviously in Africa they don't have ready access to materials and ready access to mechanical equipment, particularly in repairing a modern boat. So the boat that we had to design for them had to be maintenance free. So it means a vessel that didn't have to be painted, it wouldn't corrode, it wouldn't rust, but be very stable, very strong, and be mechanically safe for them for many, many years to come. So I think for the people on the White Volta it'll make a huge difference to have a boat that they can rely on day in, day out, to be there to transport people to hospitals and treat people actually in the villages.
Interesting, we're sending a boat out there. What I would say is that we're not only sending a boat, the main thing we're sending is hope.
My name's Rob Bell and I am a logistics professional, and I'm a fellow at Durham University Business School and also associated with quite a lot of projects around the world on what's called transformational logistics.
What this boat project offers now is the possibility of a positive contribution from the lake, and in fact keeping some of the promises that the lake originally offered to the people of Ghana but never fulfilled. And what it will do through helping to cope with people's ill health, encourage young children to be healthy and give them a good education, is to deal also with the problem of modern slavery within Ghana.
Well, I think that David's not about raising money to give people the cash to survive. He's really about giving them a framework in which their communities can be sustainable, viable and sustainable.
We have children, 250,000 of them across West Africa, working in the cocoa fields under slavery conditions. We have children who are forced into slavery to free fishermen's nets from the trees that are being drowned by the lake. So there are many problems in Ghana around the area of modern slavery, particularly in relation to children. And the boat project, bringing good health and the possibility of good education and development and a sustainable income to the people of Ghana, will help deal with this problem of slavery.
What we're looking at is trying to get people to be trained in order to trade, and also trained in order to develop their area in the right way or transform it. Now David therefore is really leading on a project which is not just about this healthcare project, which is enormously important, but a much wider issue of sustainability.
Today has been remarkable for the money that's been provided for the boat, but it's about support. The room is full. People who want to be identified with following that great course about slavery, but taking it a step further, trying to develop the area now in Africa to offer more prosperity, to deal with their medical problems. It needs public support. We need you on board. That's what it's about today, especially in the year of culture and the birthplace of Wilberforce.
Now the next stage is, according to Anne Albert and the partners I'm working with, aren't kind of charity. They're not to do with donations to poor people. They're with things like how to organise the virgin situation of their wonderful land, their wonderful people, their incredible villages who have been neglected all these years, organising them together so we can set up the kind of partnerships that will create health and wealth from all those situations. That requires not just medical boats and medical inputs, it requires education, it requires expertise in horticulture, agriculture, it requires having a firm commitment to the organic part of agriculture, it requires putting all the trees back for carbon sequestration. It's a huge project. This is why people like John Prescott and Kofi Annan, William Hague, have seen what it's about and they have said they're going to be behind it. So now with that kind of support we've seen here epitomised today, we're now going to start asking for the kind of investment you can only get, if you like, from the political side of it. And that means organisations like DFID, and instead of an aid programme just sending out money willy-nilly, it's got to go directly into these adventurous projects where we know what to do basically, and we know what to do with the Africans in partnership, not just us alone going to do little bits of good, but doing the whole project in this one river to start with.
It is just a starting point, and we're hoping, this is part of the Anne Albert Foundation, he's hoping to back this up with trading vessels as well, which will increase the wealth of the area. And if you increase the wealth of the area, especially helping the mothers of families, then the money goes towards children's education. If you increase the education of the children, then everything falls together and they sort themselves out.
They will start to grow at their own rate, in their own way, free of what they call the curse of slavery, still after 200 years. Let's get rid of that. That's going to deal with that psychologically and spiritually, if you like, and then to see themselves as a free people, they're going to start to make choices because they're earning their own wealth.
The Anne Albert Foundation has been working for many, many years, firstly in Ghana. So the important point is that there's a real knowledge of what is happening out there. And I think that's one of the things that makes me feel very comfortable in endorsing the work of the Anne Albert Foundation, because in David there's a bit of a visionary there who doesn't just see an event like today as being of importance, but he actually sees something a bit bigger, which is important when we think of governments putting money in. But that money can often be directed in a very generic way. These are always to specific projects that can make a real difference.
These are neglected, lost tribes. They want to communicate again. You know, they're not going to have mobiles for a long while. They have to walk miles across the bush to see a relative in some instances. And in this length of river, there's 3 separate tribes with 3 separate languages. So the only way you can do something about that is to actually have the kind of transport that allows them to get together, trade together, go to their marketplaces together, the women to sell their horticultural product to each other, but then the boats that can take that product down to the cities. That's the first stage. That's what we did when we opened our rivers and canals. You take the agricultural and horticultural produce and you take it down to sell in the towns and cities.
And one of the other messages of the And Albert Foundation, surely, is that these are boats that aren't just being given to Ghana. These are boats that are being built in Hull. Now that's a very important point, because we often hear about putting money into these charitable things and off the money goes, and we really can't trace it. Well, I think here you can trace the cash directly to a factory around the corner from here, where people from Hull are designing the boats and actually building them. So if you can build one, you can build 200. And when I say 200, let's not forget, this isn't just charity. This is a transformation of lives over there that can have a big, big impact on lives here in the north of England.
It's a fantastic project, and I encourage everybody who sees this film to support it in any way they can.
I've been looking at the And Albert Foundation and its work in Ghana for quite a while now, and I'm impressed by how they engage with the reality on the ground. And I'd like to appeal to all of us to get behind this, to donate money at a time when, yeah, sure, we all have to donate cash once in a while, and there are many appeals. But this appeal is different. We're building boats with your money to send out to Ghana, boats that are built here in Hull, in the UK, and then moving out to make sure that those villages, that region, is sustainable through livelihoods that are helped by these kind of initiatives to train people to actually do more with their own lives and with their own communities.
I am Gabriel Sikanku, a Ghanaian living in Hull. I believe in the ethos of the And Albert Foundation. I believe together you and I can contribute financially, time, and any other contribution necessary to make the And Albert Foundation a successful project. Let us contribute our money, let's contribute our time, let's contribute our effort in trying to make this a success. Thank you.
David Murden has given years of his life towards helping people in Africa. It is a worthy cause, and as such I feel that in particular, as far as Hull is concerned, we're giving something back to an area that has been, shall we say, deprived over many, many years, in fact an awful lot of years. So ideally, support David, support the And Albert Foundation, give generously, and you know that it is going to somewhere where it gives a help to an awful lot of people. Thank you.